Welcome to QI, where tonight we plot the whole history of humanity with 4 prime specimens of the human race. The highly evolved Joe Brand. The ho-ho Homo erectus Jimmy Carr. The creature from the black gloom, Jack D. And the homo Alan Davis. Let's see what your buzzers have evolved into. Joe goes...
I really do go like that.
We recorded you when you weren't looking. Jimmy goes...
Well, pardon me.
Jack goes... And Alan goes... He's evolved backwards into an Arsenal supporter. So, let's start with this. Describe the perfect man.
A dead one.
Well, there we have 3 specimens, my goodness.
A perfect man. Are you fishing for compliments here?
Can I just say that one in the middle is bloody gorgeous? Is that my husband? Do you believe it is?
Oh, really?
Perfect as in, what, the physical specimen?
Is it going to be like a
Well,
Greek
sort of perfect physical specimen.
It's
But
quite, can you see from that that there is no such thing as being big-boned? I mean, they are all... they all have the same structure, essentially, and they've never found a fat skeleton, have they? A big skeleton.
I'm afraid it's true, but we're sorry to hear that. No, actually, we're steering you slightly awry here. It's that humans are, Homo sapiens, sapiens is a species of animal. And every species of animal has a kind of definitive version called a holotype, by which all the others are judged. So all I'm saying is, where is the human being which is a standard example of a human being?
But is he standard or is he perfect? Because there's a difference.
Yeah, there is, isn't there?
See,
exactly.
I mean, I don't mind being perfect.
The fact is,
But to just be average. And,
the honour should go to the first person who described humanity in terms of its animal origins, in a way, which is
Darwin.
not Darwin. Before Darwin, who came up with the phrase Homo sapiens?
Was it Henry VIII?
No, good effort. It was really a Swede who named everything, who gave things classifications. Do you know who this Swede was?
Not
Ulrika
Nobel,
Johnson.
Not Ulrika Johnson.
It must be the other one, Sven-Goran Eriksson.
Not the other one.
It was ABBA.
No, it was poor Sweden, I apologise to you. He was called Carl Linnaeus. You did know
him,
that.
yeah.
Linnaeus, the Linnaic system of naming things. And it was felt that the honour should go to him. And then an American paleontologist, he volunteered. He was called Edward Drinker Cope. And he left in his will that he wanted to be the holotype. There he is. So they got his skeleton, and he was going to be the type. But unfortunately, he had syphilis, and it was present in his skeletal structure, the evidence of his having syphilis.
How
They
embarrassing.
don't put that on the little leaflet in the doctors, do they?
No, they don't. They don't. So, essentially, there is none. There is no perfect human.
So basically the position's vacant.
The position is vacant. They've suggested Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bob Hope, Raquel Welch.
I think she would be distracting for the scientists.
She might. Yeah, so it is basically a vacant position. But... what am I making that noise? Who's that?
Who's that, Jesus?
With legs out.
Oh,
as well.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci. Do you know what he's called?
No, I'm...
Vitruvian Man.
That's it.
Yes.
Oh, the guy that...
Correct.
Yeah.
That one,
He's
yeah.
done too many arms and too many legs. He's a bloody fool.
Well, no,
You're the
wasn't
same...
quite such a fool.
You're the same width as you are height, or something, isn't that right?
Well, it's showing the proportions. In one of them, the man is spread-eagled and is exactly fitting a circle. And the second one is he is fitting a square. When we fit a circle like that, our absolute centre, the centre of the circle, is the navel. But when we fit a square, the centre is the...
Genitalia.
the genit, as you rightly say, alia.
I believe tummy banana is the term.
Chubby banana.
We're using in our house.
Yeah, exactly. Who was Vitruvius? Why is he called Vitruvian Man?
Is that not him?
That was not the name of the man, no. He was a Roman architect who wrote about man's dimensions being the kind of criterion by which you should design architecture. And it goes like this. Your height is equal to the span of your arms, as the square demonstrates.
What I want to know is, what is the bloke behind doing that's
I'll never tell you.
made him open his legs like that?
Did the
Like
bloke
Bob
in
Ross.
front know that the bloke behind was doing that? Because that's a bit like a very old-fashioned version of doing that behind someone when they're having their photo taken. But it must have taken hours just standing... Oh, come on, the joke's wearing off.
But these proportions are more or less correct. Your head is an eighth of your body height.
Your head's about a quarter of your body.
Is it?
Yeah, because your brain's so
Oh,
massive.
Yeah, and you can see also that the width of your shoulders is equal to the distance from the elbow to the tip of the fingers, is the same as your shoulder span. And so there's a lot of proportion going on. Where would you see this mostly if you were in Italy?
Rome,
The internet.
Florence, Venice.
The fact is, there are millions of them all over Italy. Why is that?
The beer mats.
Not beer mats.
I didn't hear his point of the joke. That was a guess.
No, it's the €1 coin. The Italian version of the €1 coin has this on the obverse. He was so gifted, they say, that when he was a boy, he was apprenticed to a master painter, one of the great painters of his age. And typically in those days, there was a huge fresco or canvas being, that a pope or someone had commissioned. And Leonardo was told just to do one of the angels. So he went to the corner and did the angel, and the master came and looked at it and broke his own brushes and walked out and never painted again. It's rather wonderful.
Some people are like that, aren't they? They're just peevish.
But of course, people call him Leonardo, and of course, Da Vinci is just the place he came from. Name some other painters like that who really used the first name.
Leonardo da Streatham.
Yes.
Rolf of Australia.
That is true. How can I take that away from you? Michelangelo, for example. His surname was Buonarroti, but he was known as Michelangelo, and we call him by his... Raphael, we call by his first name. It's like cooks. Delia, Nigella, Jamie.
Jamie de Essex.
That's the one, exactly. Anyway, if you think you're the perfect man, there may be a job for you in a museum somewhere, as long as you don't have syphilis. On your way there, though, how would you spot a Neanderthal if you saw one on a bus?
He'd be the one who comes and sits next to me. Nearly always.
Yeah.
He's the one already sitting next to me because I'm married to him.
This is going to be the humiliate my husband show.
Yeah, he doesn't watch this, it's all
Oh,
right.
fine, OK.
He doesn't really understand it.
Is he the one looking at the wheels going, what the hell?
Has they got the lump and great forehead, or is that the Cro-Magnon?
Well, the point is, actually, we'd be
They
very
look-
hard put
they
to tell the
look
difference
exactly
if they
the
wore a
same.
T-shirt. Admittedly, you'd say, well, it's an unusual looking
That's our
person.
producer.
Yes, but if you imagine... if, and I dream of it, we shaved and dressed our producer one day, popped her on a bus... she might look like a normal person. That's, the point is that they...
So far, we haven't.
No, we've not managed that yet.
He looks like...
Is that a model?
That's a model of how they might look. Unfortunately, we think of them as incredibly stupid, but they had religious rites, they buried their dead, they made ornaments. At one point, we were one species that diverged, and these two branches of humanity lived in Europe. In fact, Neanderthals lived in Europe for 4 times longer than we ever have. They had a long period of living there.
And did we cross over?
We did cross over, and no one quite knows why they went extinct, whether we bullied them, whether we outsmarted them. They were stronger than us.
Right.
We invented the bus, though.
We did They didn't invent the bus. No, you can't give them that one. But about 1 to 4% of our DNA is Neanderthal, so we crossbred.
So were there ever, for instance, Homo sapiens who married Neanderthals? You imagine a wedding like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a punch-up in a car park.
Yeah.
Go to Basildon any Saturday night.
I'm glad you said that.
Sorry, no.
I just want to tour again one
Resident
day.
of Norfolk.
But no, the fact is, yes, you're right. I mean, there was interbreeding. And there are many theories. Some think that we, Homo sapiens, as it were, kept Neanderthal girls as sex slaves, but it's very possible it was the other way around, because they were stronger than us. But certainly there was a lot of interbreeding, but for some reason they died out.
Probably the first genocide, first of many that we proudly executed over the many centuries.
Maybe we just teased them to death. They couldn't take it anymore.
Wonderful.
I know I'm ugly and stupid.
So politically incorrect.
Oh, I can run fast. Oh, you're really good.
Why are they called Neanderthal?
Is it an anagram?
Probably is. Anagram of leather dant.
Leather Dan. Leather Dan.
But no,
That's a period in time, isn't it?
no, it's not actually. It's just simply a valley near Dusseldorf in Germany where they were found Neanderthal. There were many other. Can you name other species?
I do like the idea, though, of having
Homo
another
australis.
species of human that is just a little bit stupid, but, you know, friendly, and lived with us and were quite happy just to do all the jobs and stuff for
Well,
us.
it's Brave New World, isn't it? Exactly. The
I like the
gallows.
idea of it, I have to
Yeah.
say. I mean, I'm not a nutter or anything.
No.
But I like the idea of... Who wouldn't mind, either? They'd be very simple
And could be your sex slave.
obliging.
Yep,
Yeah.
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 Can
Well,
we go back to the picture of the man that looks like a gnome?
Oh, yes.
Where's
the
where's he?
producer.
Yeah, I don't really fancy that as a sex slave, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not being overly fussy, I just think...
Bearing in mind, though, Jimmy, this is before the invention of electric light. You know, it's gloomy.
Yeah.
be in a cave.
It's cold,
You be in a
there's no
cave,
fires.
it's cold.
Have a few beers, you'd be fine.
He's quite a friendly-looking bloke, isn't he, really? For a Neanderthal.
So this really good series, anthropology series, it was really good. And they had this fantastic depiction of the tree of evolution with all the different branches
Yeah.
and all the various Homo this and Homo the other that didn't make it.
Yeah, we're the only one left.
Presumably, though, if it's evolution, we're not finished.
No.
We haven't
it's
finished
still
evolving.
Yeah.
So when we go on evolving, presumably...
There is
they'll-
hope for you, Jimmy, don't worry.
I just think they should keep a breeding population of us, because I think we'd make excellent pets
Right.
when they've moved on.
Oh, we don't have to moan, though. Who wants a pet that moans all the time? You want a dog that bounds up to you, not, oh, God, I'm tired, I really... I didn't like my breakfast, much.
Specifically, having Alan Davis as your pet, that would be good, wouldn't it? Take him for a walk in the morning. Come on, Alan.
You played a dog once in a radio show, I
Yeah,
remember it.
I don't like the direction this is going
You were a
in.
very good dog.
It wants to tease me into extinction.
What do you
Yeah, I
think
did
we're
play
going
a
to evolve
dog.
next? What do you think?
It's very hard to say. There's a great fallacy, which is that things that happen to you in your lifetime, you pass on to your children. Your DNA doesn't alter because you text a lot. You know, people say, because we text a lot, people have flat thumbs. That's a misunderstanding of evolution. But anyway, fossils. Why might you take a fossil into a nightclub? No.
If you're going to string fellows, you wouldn't need to.
Is it? I'm going to guess the UV. I think
Yes.
there's something in the UV light.
You are so right.
Because people's teeth look weird in clubs.
You're right.
His teeth
I don't know
look
why you
weird
would-
anyway.
No, why you would take it is because there's quite a business in fossils. People want a perfect fossil, and there's a lot of money charged for these...
Ammonites.
Exactly like the ammonites, trilobites, those sort of things. And a lot of them are dodgy, and they've got plastic in. And, you know, take it under UV light, and the plastic will show up completely differently to the original fossil. So that's a reason to take it into a nightclub.
And do you get a lot of that happening in clubs?
I don't know, but now that I've
People going down
suggested
to the
it...
I'd have to say my wife wouldn't be very pleased with that explanation.
No, darling, the reason I went into the back room
What
of the
happened was,
Harness
love?
Club...
Yeah.
Can I just say on a completely unrelated note, dear Peter Stringfellow came up in that picture, that he won't let fat women go in his club in case they break the antique chairs.
No.
Indeed.
But
So
fat man...
all fat ladies to Stringfellows later, and we'll sit on his antique face.
If you gave him, and when I say him, I mean a Neanderthal man, a tracksuit and a haircut, he would attract no more attention than any of the other nutters on the bus. Which bit of you is evolving the quickest?
Is it my propeller?
You have a
What
propeller?
did you say, revolving?
No, evolving.
Wouldn't it be brilliant, though?
Yeah, if you had a
If
propeller.
we had a propeller.
It would be. Oh.
Do you think there's any animals that have got propellers?
There's a thing that lives in the sea that has sort of a propeller mechanism, and it was used
Is
as
that
the...
a boat?
The hippo's tail is slightly less savoury, but the hippo uses its tail and it revolves it to spread its faeces in as wide a way as possible.
That's what I do in swimming pools.
And what do you revolve to help that happen, I wonder?
I don't think you can.
Oh, just your
really.
hands.
It's always so embarrassing when it happens.
Well, it does it to mark out more territory, literally. Just
I suppose I shouldn't do it from the top board.
It's always been the distinction. There's a big difference between pissing in a pool and pissing into a pool.
So true. So true. What
I pooed in the sea once.
did you? I'm not going in there again.
I was only
Cost
about
me a
12 at the
fortune.
time, and I really needed to go. I was quite far out. I could just go here. I mean, fish go in the sea all the time. And I thought, that's good, that's gone. But I hadn't allowed for the fact that it just bobs up. You got a flop there, it's right next to your face. You not got rid of it at all. It's kind of... It's
Is that how you learn to swim?
Goes right into shore with you. I strongly advise not to do that.
Yeah. What was the question?
You were
again?
talking about evolving?
Yes.
Because I've always thought that whenever they mention on the news Scottish devolution,
Yeah.
I always think that sounds like they're losing their opposable thumbs. Or they get their tendons super open.
De-evolving.
Yeah.
There-
If you're evolving because of breeding,
Yes.
I can't imagine what it is about human beings that will be changing at the moment. Because, I mean, we've got the sofa, the telly, the fridge. We're kind of building our environment to fit the way we are now.
Exactly.
Are we not going to halt
We're not going to grow
evolution
wings
completely?
because we build aeroplanes.
We'll just be
Yeah.
developed with a remote control in our hand. Evolution isn't just a smooth thing. They occasionally, I think,
You get mutations.
You get mutations, which actually accelerates the process, does
Indeed.
it not? So an animal is born with a very long neck and can get to the top leaves, and therefore that is a more successful
And if there's
creature.
another female that happens
and
to have
another
done the same
female,
thing.
and they say, "Oh, you got a long neck as well. What about it? Let's have long-necked babies."
Well, then, then what happens
ourselves giraffe
is...
family.
I saw a Family Fortunes once.
Finally back to my level again.
The question was, name a bird with a long neck.
Oh, no.
And the guy said Naomi Campbell.
It's like my favourite one on Weakest Link was, what are Chardonnay, Shiraz and Pinot Noir? They said footballers' wives. Very good. All the old
Yeah.
My favourite one was name a dangerous race. And the guy said the Arabs. I think they were hoping for a Grand National.
Le Mans.
What was the
Where
question?
were we? Oh, yes.
What?
So are we halting evolution?
Well, no, there's no evidence that we are.
But isn't the last thing... would it be our stomachs that have evolved the quickest? Because our diet's changed massively in the last 2,000 years.
You're right. It seems, though, that the part of the body that has changed most recently, in the last 10,000 years, is the nose, funnily enough. And we're not quite sure why. It seems there's some noses, in case
And
you
are
didn't
you
know
going
what
to tell us the more highly evolved people have got sort of a slightly bent to one side nose?
Yes, there is that element. It just
The most
slightly-
highly evolved people have got 3 noses.
By the look of it. Yeah, dogs, which were domesticated about 15,000 years ago, and humans have complementary smell, and it was around the time we were learning to cook as well. And it just seems that our noses... We lost the need to have the kind of smell that dogs have, maybe because we...
Isn't it the most powerful sense memories, is the olfactory
Yes.
memory? The idea that if you get a smell, it's very Proustian, you're back there immediately, and it's the most kind of powerful sort of thing for...
Yeah. It's very odd, that, isn't it? I mean, you can smell something and not be sure what it is, but in a way that you couldn't see something and not be sure what it is. You wouldn't show someone a picture of an elephant and then go, oh, it's a tennis racket. No, it's it's very odd, Although it's very powerful, it's also very elusive.
It feels like smell is the one thing that's miles away from language. It's so difficult to sort of describe what's going on with it, but you know you
But
like
it can trigger a memory instantly.
Yeah, there is a widespread assumption that we've ceased evolving, but I don't think it's true, but of course it does take so long. I mean, it's like what I was saying about the Neanderthal man having lived in Europe for 4 times longer than we have.
Isn't that, I mean, you say that we never notice it, but people are getting taller by generation,
Yes.
aren't they?
And yeah, that's a nutritional thing.
It
really,
is nutrition,
isn't it?
and you can see it in Japanese, who only ate fish and things. The moment they started eating beef and beef burgers came, the Japanese, in a generation and a half...
Uh-oh, watch out with them.
Yeah.
They'll be back.
Got a lot taller. So it seems that our noses are evolving quicker than any other part of our body. Who knows what we will look like in the future? In fact, who are you looking at here?
It's to do with the proportion in which we are able to sense things from our body, the hand,
It's the amount of brain space and processing that is given to our own bodies. These are called cortical homunculi, which is a rather nice name. Our cortex gives over a huge amount of processing to understand and feel the hands and our ears and our tongues, quite a lot to our genitalia, so much so that we felt the need to be
I
decent.
see the one on the left is actually a lady.
That is actually Joe, in fact. It really is, and that's
How
Jimmy.
dare
That's
you.
Jimmy.
What?
And that's you, and that's you, that's you. But
Oh, I
it's
see.
with your eyes made bigger and your mouths made bigger. You are in there. That is basically.
Well, I'm quite
Which
happy with that
one's me?
torso. I don't mind that.
The one,
Well, hang
the
on.
female one.
I think we
one.
look a lot
Yeah.
crazier than those two, don't we? I mean, we look properly out
I
of control.
actually quite want to shag you now.
I mean, that's...
We're very grateful to Steve Colgan, who made these for us, as the artist who
I'm not
responsible.
grateful
You're not
to
grateful.
Steve.
No.
I'd like to go on record with Alan and say I'm not very good at all.
No. Well,
I think we
I'm-
might do a drawing of Steve later.
Yeah.
See how he likes it.
No,
So this is where the sensory sort of...
Yeah, it was the brainchild of a man called Dr. Wilder Penfield, who was a Canadian neurosurgeon who died in about 1979. And because he'd been doing surgery on epileptics, he realised he could map the parts of the brain that were responsible for the feelings, dimensions, senses of each part of the body. And that's what he came up with. So to the brain, as it were, that's how we are.
So it's a good rule of thumb for a first date, isn't it? These are the areas you should be concentrating on.
Yeah. And some people, like Andrew Marr, actually are like that. Which is go on. Martin Clunes, perhaps. Yeah. The brain is, of course, remarkable complex. It's the most complex thing we know of in the universe. We don't know of anything more astonishingly complicated.
You filled in a VAT return? Easy.
I haven't. It's 100 billion neurons in the brain, roughly.
Yeah.
That's as many brain cells in your brain as there are trees in the Amazonian forest. It's a quite... Have you ever flown over
Maybe
the
not
forest?
anymore.
Well, maybe. Each cell makes between 1,000 and 10,000 connections. So even the brain of a 3-year-old child has about a quadrillion, which is 10 to 15 synapses.
15?
Yeah, it's a huge number. It's almost incalculably vast.
No, I've done it.
Yeah, and it's 80% water, the brain. Extraordinary, isn't
I like a weak lager.
it? Yeah, basically.
The brain works with chemical reaction always.
Yes,
Is that right?
electricity, essentially.
Electricity, is it?
Basically.
That's why when an epileptic fit is when the electrical impulses in your brain sort of overload and they cause you, you know, to...
Yeah.
To sort of...
To have a seizure.
And in fact, that's how they invented ECT, because some Italian doctor noticed that a tramp he was experimenting on was a lot more cheerful when he'd had an epileptic fit.
Yeah.
So they thought if we induce one...
Why
then
was he
it'll
more
cheer
cheerful
people up.
when he'd had an epileptic fit? Was
Well,
it,
he
is there a
didn't
chemical
know,
reason
but
for
he
that?
just thought...
Might as well
They
give it a
still
go.
don't really know, but the thing about ECT is it does often work.
My mother went to a fete recently and someone had spelt etc. wrong. And it went, this way to the stalls and ECT. Which is great to get at a fete, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Pound.
Anyway, the cortical homunculus is you, if the size of your body parts reflected how much brain power they use. How would you like to huddle up to one of these?
Oh, my God. How did you get a picture of my scrotum? You got the teeth and everything.
Would a scrotum be much more attractive if
No.
it had little eyes and teeth? The only thing the scrotum's good for, testing anti-wrinkle cream. What a treat.
Yep, it would.
This little animal was only recently been discovered.
It is a recent discovery,
in,
absolutely.
Yes, in Africa.
In
was it?
Africa?
And it was a hairless, because it's hairless.
Yes, it is.
That's
It's called the naked mole rat.
How long is it?
It's about 3 inches, not very big.
Wow, so exactly the same proportion.
It's neither a mole nor a rat, in fact. It is a rodent, it's a mammal, and it's a most extraordinary creature. Bizarrely, there was a zoologist who predicted in the 1970s that there might be an as-yet undiscovered social mammal that lived underground, and this exactly fits the bill. It has a queen, who is the only one who gives birth, a harem of 3 males, and all the rest are diggers, are workers and slaves, just like in an ant colony. It's most unusual.
Because when you said social, I thought you meant it asks its friends round.
The workers, they do the child rearing and the digging and the school run, as it were. I mean, all those sorts of jobs.
The school
You know
run.
what I mean.
I suppose its friends have to say that they'll come over, don't they? Because they can't say, staying in washing my hair tonight.
So you get a colony of about 300, and they sleep like this to keep themselves warm, because they're virtually cold-blooded.
If you just glance at that, it's quite distressing.
It is a little.
It looks like something that happened at Chelsea Football Club's Christmas party.
They do look disturbingly
So, do we
like.
know why they became like that?
It seems that the best way for them to survive in what is very stuffy burrows is very, very difficult, and they just huddle together for warmth, and maybe sometimes it's very hot and the fur is too much, and so their way of regulating their heat is just to be kind of naked and sleep on top of each other. But they're quite interesting for us because their genes are being sequenced, because they seem to have resistance to certain forms of cancer, as well as having other interesting properties. For example...
Because they don't smoke. A very healthy lifestyle,
That's
really.
probably what it is. They don't have something called substance P, which transmits pain in us and other animals. So
So
it's...
substance P transmits pain?
Yeah.
Are you sure that's science? Are you sure you haven't misread that?
I know what you mean. It's
You know, substance P for pain, you know.
It's a neurotransmitter.
Of course it is.
But if we were able to replicate the way it works, we might be able to find a very perfect painkiller for us rather than using opiates, which we still use. Yes, the naked mole rat is a personal hero of mine, but describe the effects of hero syndrome. What is hero?
Psychological disorder where you put your trousers on before your pants.
It is a psychological disorder. I think that's a very good description of it.
Oh, is it where you think you're a hero? Is that... Oh.
Is it anything to do with Hero the person in mythology?
Oh, as in Hero and Leander? No,
Yes.
not that.
Oh, I thought I sounded really intelligent
You
there.
did!
You think you're a hero, you behave like a hero.
You think, yes, it's worse than that. It's really pretty sick.
Do you make something terrible happen so
Yes.
you can look like a hero?
Exactly that.
So you set a building on fire and then rescue
Especially
everyone?
fire, yes.
Oh,
It's
really?
a real problem, particularly in America, because
Like
in America...
Munchausen's.
Sorry, are we
It's
saying
like
that...
a kind of Munchausen's by proxy.
Are we
yes.
saying this is illegal?
Ratty.
I've no idea, I'm sorry.
So keen are they to present themselves as heroes, they will set fire to buildings and then be the one who goes in and...
And would these be just regular people, or would it be someone that's in a profession?
It's firemen.
It's
Firemen, yeah.
Because firemen are sort of they're a hero for a job. It's a weird job when you think about it.
Couldn't it possibly be the other way around, that they know they're arsonists, but they've got a guilty conscience, so they become firemen as well?
Well, there is an element to that.
Did you hear about that Crime Watch presenter in Brazil who found that the show wasn't exciting enough, so he started killing people?
Yeah, his name was Sousa, and he was supposed to have commissioned, if that's the right word, 5 murders.
And the
So-
police got suspicious when his camera crew turned up before it had even been phoned in.
And he went on the run, and then he turned himself in. So, yes, in South Carolina in 1993 and 94, they discovered 47 in 1 year had done this.
All by the same guy?
No, 47 different incidents.
47
Yeah,
different arson
Yes.
stroke firemen.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, though, isn't it? Because it's a very noble thing to want to be, a hero. It's like it's a really nice
Yes,
thing to want
I
to be,
know.
but just so sort of a bit misguided.
I know, it is. There was, not quite related, but there was a Japanese customs officer who was training a sniffer dog and decided to hide quite a large wad of cannabis on a random passenger who didn't know about it, just basically plant it. And the idea was that then the passenger would go through, the dog would sniff and find it. The dog didn't get it, the passenger just walked through and got a free brick of cannabis. Got home and going, what? It's just very strange.
I'll fly with them again.
Usually it's just a pack of cashews.
I only got a wash bag with the other guys.
Most extraordinary, yeah. You don't have to be a hero to be a worthwhile person, but how much are you worth?
I mean, if you sold all your bits...
Basically, yeah. As a human, not forgetting your bank account and your social
kidneys
entity.
and your liver and your...
Let's start with your... I mean, very basically, just your meat. There
Your
was
flesh.
Your flesh, if you prefer to call it that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who you're going to sell it to. I mean, possibly Lidl, Aldi, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
In Moldova, there were a couple of women stopped who were selling human flesh, and they were charging £1.30 a kilo. So that would make the average-ish human be about £100 of flesh.
I think
And
you'd
we-
go
and we
for
think
more,
there's a-
I might
you know,
be
if you had
more.
a
Yeah,
restaurant in Chelsea.
And we think
or
there's a
something.
problem with the national debt. We're sitting on a gold mine.
We are, yeah.
There's 60 million of you out there.
And there's leather, there's our skin.
But there's a... isn't there sort of a scientific thing here? Because you've got a very tiny bit of calcium in your body. But that's
Quite-
saleable if you could take it out. Or there's tiny bits of
Oh, yeah,
metals,
it's good.
isn't there?
Look, it's gold. Yeah, it's
They're gold?
Yes, yes.
In me?
Stop 0.4
it,
of a
you.
milligram. 0.4 of a milligram, worth about 8 pence.
It's something.
Yeah, it's a trace of it.
Do you remember the German who advertised on the internet and said, I would like to invite you over and eat your body. And someone said, yes, I would like you to do that. So they met and he went round to his flat and they said, good evening, would you like a drink? Yes, thank you. And I'm going to kill you now.
Did they not get confused because they both sounded alike? You know the weird thing about that, though, when that guy, that did happen, and he killed the guy, but the guy that came first backed out of it at the last minute. He had him all tied up and he was about to kill him, and he went, oh, I don't really fancy it. And they watched Ocean's 12 instead, and then he went home.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's the guy that kind of got away.
Yeah, I've seen Ocean's 12. I'm not sure that was a good deal.
I'd rather be eaten.
So, OK, we've got the meat. The meat's £100. What about leather? So you've got skin. How much does your skin weigh?
Yeah.
40 quid, I'll give you
The
40
biggest
quid for your
organ in the
skin.
body, isn't it, or something?
Well, it's large-ish. I mean, it's about £8, 3.6 kilograms. So.
I would hope mine would go to Louis Vuitton.
But, well, it could do. It's an area, it's about 22 square foot, about the size of an average door, say. Is that? And if you were charging the same as cowhide, that would be only about £20, I'm afraid.
It'd be a shame if you ended up bag for life.
It'd be most unfortunate.
I think the coin purse alone would fetch a couple of grand.
The coin purse. Very nicely put.
My Jimmy Carr coin.
But then we come to the big ones, the transplantable organs. A pair of corneas could be £4,000, just the corneas. So you get good money for your eyes. How much do you pay for a human heart, do you think, on the
£50,000.
black market? Well, not bad. 40,000 you can probably get one for.
What about a kidney? That's the classic thing.
Anything from 10 to 20,000 for a kidney.
You know, last year I donated a kidney.
Did you?
Yeah, of course, they wanted to know where I got it from.
Lungs?
25,000
75.
pair.
75. They're very valuable,
yeah,
lungs. £75,000.
Very valuable.
So basically, if you, all your body parts sold, we reckon about £400,000. So you've got £400,120 so far.
So the thing is, when you get your donor card,
Yeah.
it says, will you donate your stuff?
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, OK, I'll donate it.
Yeah.
You should be able to sell it, shouldn't you?
You could, I suppose.
I carry a donor card, but
But that's so you can get a kebab at night.
No, what I've done is I carry it, but I haven't signed it, because I want someone else to have the use of it after I've died.
And then there are the chemical components, which we mentioned. There's 10 gallons of water, which doesn't go for much, enough carbon for a sack of coal, enough bone and...
Sorry, enough carbon for a sack of coal?
Yeah.
That's
We're a carbon-based
extraordinary.
life form. That's our main feature. A packet of bone meal fertiliser you could get out of a human, a bag of salt, a few nails from the iron, and the small trace elements like, say, 0.4 of a milligram of gold, which is not much. You probably wouldn't get much change out of £10, but it's not really very much, is it, for all your worth? So, frankly, you know, £500,000 if you're very, very in good order.
It's silly to burn it then at the end, isn't it?
It's what it is, really.
A
Yes.
lot going on there.
Yes.
So what would it be if you just took... If it wasn't the organ donation type thing, if it was just the chemicals and the stuff we're made of? What
Oh,
would...
about a tenner. Really not much. In reality, of course, everybody's priceless. But what is the point of teenagers?
Are they the only group that you're legally allowed to punch?
Are Have they?
I mean, I might have dreamt that.
I think you probably did.
The thing is about teenagers is that they don't think of themselves as remarkable and strange.
No.
So yeah, people look at them and think, now they're odd, they sound odd, they speak oddly, but they communicate amongst themselves
Yes.
very efficiently.
Absolutely right.
And really ought to be breeding, in fact, in many areas.
They are. They are. Almost pre.
Because they like being together, they don't want to be with anybody else, they function very well on their own, they are sexually ready for children. They are, exactly, that's the point of teenagers.
The point is, yeah, they do think differently. You can use MRI, and there were a number of experiments with adults and adolescents with brain scans, and they were both shown, for example, a woman in a particular emotional state, and they were asked what emotional state it was, and all the adults answered correctly. But lots of the teenagers couldn't interpret the emotion. And it was found they use a different part of their brain to do so. So when an adult is having a row with a teenager and they're not understanding each other, it's really because they just have different ways of thinking.
They don't like it if you try and...
They don't want to be understood, no.
Use their language.
Oh, God.
'Cause I remember going up to some teenagers outside the park going, look at that Minger over there, right? And they went, oh, for God's sake, it's Minger.
Minger.
Yes, I know. And then one of them went, and that's my mum. So obviously
Yeah, there are those who propose the argument, almost like Alan, that maybe they are the proper state. And we've grown down from that into our rather more fixed and rigid and rational...
It's the best time of life, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're very sad when you're a teenager, you feel like everything's going to end.
Yeah.
But then the next day, something amazingly brilliant happens, like you hear a new band.
Yeah. No, you're right, absolutely.
And everything's just great again. Or if you see a film that you like, you really just love it.
Yeah. And you
watch
never
it 8
forget it
times,
the
and you
whole
never
of your
forget
life.
it. Yeah, the things
Exactly.
that you really, really love or discover at that age
Yeah.
are the things that stay with you for the rest of your life.
No, I agree with you, and I think the Republic of Adolescence is a fine place to live, and it's a shame ever to leave it. Maybe teenagers are the real thing, and it's the adults who are behaving oddly. Oh, the humanity! It's time for general ignorance, so fingers on buzzers, if you please. Name the fastest human runner of all time.
Ah, now.
I'm going to go Usain Bolt. Oh, what? Well, he is. Well, he is. Did you not watch it? It was on telly. He's called Bolt, for God's sake. What more do you want?
The argument for him being one of the fastest is strong, but...
Him winning and being the fastest?
He won that race.
He won that race, yes.
But
But you think you're faster, too?
No, I don't. I think T8 was faster.
T8?
T8.
Who's that?
It's a fossilised footprint in Australia of an Aboriginal people. And you can tell from the strides that they ran really fast.
What were they running from?
The white man.
Yeah, possibly. They had good reason to. Usain Bolt can reach 27 miles per hour for a second or
Which
two.
is very, very impressive. But again, rabbits run at 35 miles an
Yeah.
hour, and that's much more exciting.
It is not as fast as a rabbit.
It's not as fast as Jimmy Carman, it's his round.
Hey!
20,000 years ago, on the Gold Coast, they discovered these footprints, and one of the males was running at 23 miles per hour. But, all right, so Usain Bolt can travel 27 on a running track with spiked shoes, whereas T8 was in mud, barefoot, and was accelerating. You know how much faster he got. It seems likely that he was faster than Bolt. And anyway, it's quite likely also that he wasn't the fastest of his 150,000-strong tribe. So anthropologists believe that he could have gone up to about 28 miles.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
for
Usain
all
Bolt
we
wasn't
know-
being chased by a lion, was he?
There is also that, yeah, that's
For all
true.
we know, he could have been like a fat bloke who was about 45. And all the others were really fast.
Yeah, exactly,
Doing like
exactly.
48 miles an hour. How do they actually tell? Is it the stride length?
I think
then?
it is. I mean, it's stride length, depth of impress. They can be pretty accurate about it.
Maybe they just had a rock in the shape of a foot and they did it for a laugh.
Maybe. It's true. It's true. I'm not saying Usain Bolt isn't fast. Anyway, now, footprints in Australia suggest that some of our ancestors were much faster than the best athletes are today. The fastest one we know of was called T8. Now, how are saunas good for you?
What's going on over there?
Yes, quite.
What's happening on the far right there?
I'm not quite sure.
Is it
It does.
if I'm not very much mistaken. And his missus is just watching. He's probably be showing her how to do it.
Exactly.
It's happening in the middle. That's even more.
That is a bit
curious.
strange.
Well, that
Kneeling
woman
at-
on her own at
being
the
sick in a
front, she
bucket.
needs to sort out her bikini line big time, doesn't she?
Yes, it's an unusual sight, that I grant you, but it's an early sauna of some kind.
Can I suggest to you that they're just not good for you? It was a trick question.
Well, I'm sure they don't do too much harm, but what they're not good at is one of the major claims that's made for them is that they release toxins from your body. They don't do that. This idea, you know, people say, oh, good for a hangover, go in, all the toxins go out. They don't. There's just,
You need a
you
fry-up.
sweat. When you
need a
sweat, you
fry-up
sweat
for
a
a
little bit of
hangover.
salt, which is actually quite a good thing to have in your body, but you don't get rid of toxins. It's
Is
just...
that a real thing where you can run off when you're
There
drunk?
they go again.
That's the fella from The Joy of Sex.
Yeah, yes, the point is that people think it's good for a hangover because you get rid of the toxins and so on, and it's got a lot of steam. But in fact, it dehydrates you because you sweat a lot. It's not particularly
really
helpful for that.
uncomfortable and unpleasant.
And also for losing weight, who uses it for losing weight
Boxers,
particularly?
just before the weigh-in.
And
jockeys.
jockeys, that's right. Well, and again, you lose weight in a sauna just by dehydrating.
Are those kitchen scales, is he really tiny, that giant?
Yes, he's very cheerful, whatever he is. A sauna won't remove toxins from your body, and if you're hungover, you might even end up more dehydrated. Which disease could this animal give you?
Go on.
Malaria.
Oh, Jack, you were doing so well.
Can't believe you said that.
Well, that's how I got it.
It was a mosquito, but you never get malaria from a mosquito that buzzes.
Oh, silent but deadly.
Sorry? Silent but
SPD.
silent but deadly. It's the females of some species of Anopheles mosquito that don't make a noise, and usually it's the ankle. It's usually the lower limbs.
Yeah, they go for that.
They're the ones you've got to watch out for. So if you can hear it, it's obviously a nuisance, and it can give you yellow fever if it's a buzzy one, and it can give you dengue fever, which in many respects is worse than some forms of light malaria. So it's not that they're harmless, but they won't give you malaria if you can hear them.
Isn't Bill Gates, because he's got that foundation, hasn't
Yes.
he, with Warren Buffett?
That's right.
They set up this incredible
Huge amount
thing.
of money they put into it,
And
yes.
they think they're actually going to be able to tackle malaria, which is an extraordinary thing to do when you think about, you know, some geek in a garage starting a
It
computer
is
company.
marvellous
It's
if
amazing.
his life is spent doing that because they are the deadliest disease vector in history, of course. In fact, over half the people who have ever lived on this planet have been killed by mosquitoes. Over half the people who have ever lived. If we could just wipe them out, it wouldn't be good either because they're also great pollinators and a vital pollinator around much of the world. Yes, a buzzing mosquito cannot give you malaria. They might give you something equally unpleasant. Which brings us to the end of the show. And before we go, let's see who's the winner in this human race. Well, it's a very exciting outcome, I have to say. The pinnacle of human evolution with a score of +4 is Joe Brand.
Oh, my God.
Very good. Thoroughly astonished. The missing link with a plus score of 3 is Alan Davis. Slightly dragging his knuckles along the ground with -2 is Jack D. But I'm afraid, heading for extinction with -3, Jimmy Carr. So all that's left is for me to thank Joe, Jimmy, Jack, and of course Alan. And I leave you with this thought about being human and being happy. If you really want to be happy, all you have to do is say, I am beautiful. So I want you all tonight to go and look at the mirror and say, Stephen Fry is beautiful. Good night.
And there's more comedy to come at 11:30 here on BBC2 Scotland when Terry Wogan joins Rob Brydon. And next, the first of our series of new Scottish films features a stand-up comedian crying with laughter.